1 week to go of TMUA things. Just a lot of people have asked me some questions about what it is that they should be doing and other stuff, so I thought I'd just answer all the questions here in one go. Firstly, if you have any incomplete TMUA exam papers, I think that should be your priority at this point, just trying to get as many of them done. Don't just get them done and move on, though. Anything that you've got wrong, you obviously need to mark it. Anything you got wrong, you need to try and think about how it went wrong, what the correct solution looked like, and how you could understand that and maybe get it next time. But that should be your priority if you've got anything that's incomplete. If you've been saving a paper, like 2020, 2021 or whatever, to do back-to-back and timed, paper 1 and paper 2, now would be a great time to do that, because it's very unlikely that you've done 40 very difficult maths questions in a row before, and getting used to the kind of fatigue and exhaustion that you'll be going through. 30 questions in is very worth doing, so I think now would be a good time to do that. If you've completed all the papers, it's absolutely fine and actually very beneficial to do one of them again anyway that you did a while back, because you won't have got 20 out of 20 on it. So anything that you didn't get, it would be really interesting to test your brain to see whether it can remember the solution this time around. You know, lots of people get to questions that they just don't know how to attack. They'll read the solution and they'll understand it, or they'll watch my solution and they'll understand it, but then maybe they still can't replicate it 2 weeks later because they've forgotten it again. So the whole point of trying to understand that solution is that your brain can actually attack it in the right way the next time. So doing a paper again would be a fantastic idea, even if you have done them all. If you've done them all if you know there's a topic you need to work on, like trig or differentiation or whatever, though differentiation I don't think is particularly difficult in TMUA, but if you know if there's a topic you need to work on, try just finding some resources on that. A good thing to do would probably be to email me, because I'm a teacher. I'm quite good at finding resources on things. Madass Maths, I think, is a great bank of resources that has a lot of questions that look a bit like TMUA for lots of different topics. If it's paper 2, lots of people have asked about paper 2 logic stuff. It's exceedingly hard to find anything on that, which is why just doing the exam papers, the past papers, is the best priority there. If you're feeling confident about all that and just wanting something to do, Math Section 1, ECAA Part B, the Advanced Math Section, and UKMT Senior are all probably the 3 most similar places you can go for extra practice, getting less similar as you go along maybe. But if you are happy with all of this and you're feeling pretty confident, UKMT Senior is quite good because it tackles like very weird, off meta, off topic questions that sometimes get thrown in. Like, it's good at testing the way that you attack questions that you've just never seen before, and there are a few of those at the end of every TMUA paper, whereas these papers just throw questions that are just very similar to TMUA, to the bulk of TMUA at you. So yeah, on the day things, the number one thing is just to relax. I know it's super easy for me to say as someone who's not really intending to take this paper very seriously next week when they see it, and as someone who generally has quite a hard time getting stressed about anything. But if you go in there super stressed, you are going to be really bad. So you've just got to relax. You've got to trust that all the prep that you've done for this is worth it, and that it's putting you in a better place. And you'll just wipe out all of those gains if you go in there super stressed. It's super tempting to rush through questions that look easy. Like at the start of every paper, there might be some, integrate this between this and this, and it's just doing numbers question. It's very tempting to rush through those because you think, well, I can do this. I need to minimize my time on it so I can maximize my time on other questions. But all that does is make it more likely that you make a mistake on that question, which you absolutely need to get the mark on. So don't worry about being slow on questions that you know how to do. If you know how to do it, if you know 100% that you're going to get the mark on that question if you don't make a mistake, take your time on it. Make sure you pick up that mark, and don't waste your time, essentially, because you only get credit if you get the whole thing right. Right? Like, they're not crediting you for sort of roughly knowing what you're doing. You just made a mistake. You only get the credit if you get the mark. So take your time over it. Don't worry too much about the fact that it's a question you know how to do. Take your time and make sure you pick up the mark. Every time you move on to another question, let's say that question, like question number 8, didn't go so well. Don't let that affect you when you're doing question number 9. It's just very likely that question number 8 was quite a hard question that nobody got, or very few people got. When you're doing question 9, when you've left question 8, either you've guessed the answer or you're just not happy with it and you're going to go back to it. Focus all of your attention on the question that you're actually going to go ahead and do. Don't keep thinking about it. Don't let it affect you. Don't let it cloud your mind. Just focus on the question that you're doing. You've got time to go back to that other one, but don't let one bad question become two bad questions, become three bad questions, right? Clear your head every single time between each one. Draw a sketch. If you're not sure what to do, I could never get through a video without giving that advice, could I? If you're not sure, if a question isn't making much progress, could you think to yourself, is there any way a sketch could help me? Don't sit on a question for longer than a few minutes without progress, right? This isn't a step exam. This isn't a real A-level Pearson maths exam. You don't just sit on a question for longer than a few minutes, because you're just wasting time at that point. If you don't know how to make progress on the question, it's likely, because you guys are smart individuals, that you'll be able to figure it out eventually, maybe. But all of that time could have been better spent doing other questions that you maybe did know how to do and could make more progress on more quickly. With regards to this channel, so this is just the last thing I'll say, I don't really have any topics left that I particularly want to discuss. I've kind of done them all now, I think. The things that people have asked me about, circle theorems is in this spec, but hasn't really been asked before in the past. There will be some circle theorem video stuff going up between now and the papers, just old stuff that I've made that is quite interesting and I think might be beneficial to some people. But I haven't made a video on these because, again, they haven't been asked by TMUA papers yet, really. People have asked about stats and probability. Now, I'm not really going to do this for a couple of reasons. Firstly, because I hate stats. Probability is okay, but I do truly hate stats. And also, again, just like circle theorems, while this is in the spec, it hasn't really been asked before. And so I think there's very limited, it's a very limited benefit for me to just find a couple of questions and guess what TMUA might ask about it. I mean, if you ask me now, I don't think they're going to ask any questions on this particularly more than they've asked in the past. I don't see any reason for them to. But even if they did, I don't quite see how me making a video on it would be helpful, because I couldn't possibly predict how they're going to form a question about this, because they haven't really done it in the past anyway. So that's why I'm kind of ignoring that. And I'll just finish on this point. If there is something that you think I've missed that it would be amazing for me to make a video on, and I've just been an idiot by not doing it, please tell me, and if in the comments, or write me an email. And if maybe a comment gets quite a few upvotes because people are like, yes, you should definitely do something on that, then maybe I will. But for now, there's nothing else that I can really think of that would be helpful. I've thought about making some other videos, got halfway through and just decided that it wasn't actually any good, and I wasn't really making any point. I was just rambling, kind of like now. But otherwise, yeah, drop me an email if there's anything else that you feel like I could help you with. I do have a full-time job, so I can't promise to be of immediate help, but I will certainly get to it at some point, hopefully. But anyway, yeah, good luck in the next week with this, and I'm sure if you've been prepping hard that you'll be absolutely fine.